The Celtics look to even their series against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla is not playing the victim card. His team is unfazed by the challenge at hand.
We're on the path of trying to go after greatness, and you don't get to dictate the test that's in front of you. All you get to dictate is how you approach it and how you respond to it. So if you plan on doing this for a long time, trust me, it'll be a lot worse than those last 72 hours, and that's the perspective you have to have. So at the end of the day, we got a test in front of us, and I got a group of guys that I wouldn't want anyone else to be able to go through that. So this is the fun part. You don't get into the journey for it to be easy. So it's been dark, but in a good way.
Dark? How dark? Like, what's that mean?
I mean, like, you just got to tap into your darkness, and that's it. Like, so we got to do it. That's it.
Tap into your darkness.
I love that.
Yeah? Your reaction to what Joe Mazzulla just said?
Look, I got a chance to go to that game and sit right next to their bench, and I heard so many huddles about how he was trying to get them to play outside of themselves, right? And, of course, you have a 20-point lead against the Knicks. I mean, there were fans that were yelling to them, "We got you right where we want you. Down 20, we got you right where you want," right? And everybody felt that. I think Joe Mazzulla is the head coach that stands on that principle. But in order for us to get to the next level, like, we have to find a different side of ourselves. And I think that's what he's talking about, tapping into darkness. Talk to Kobe or talk to Michael Jordan. Talk to any player that's been able to go to a different level. Whatever you need to tap into that, that's what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown need to find. Now, Peyton Pritchard found it, but Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum did not have good games, by the way, guys. I mean, 20 points on 18 shots or whatever the numbers are, it's essentially a point per shot, okay? So you're still waiting for them to come out of their cocoon. And Joe Mazzulla knows that as well. And I think that whole post-game press conference was about letting them know they need to tap into a different side of themselves to be the team that is willing to fight and claw and get into a street fight with you in order to make it have a chance to win.
I mean, I was in the Celtics locker room after the game. I didn't see any darkness. I think they were in a really good mental place, to be honest with you. I think Joe Mazzulla...
Darkness doesn't mean bad mental place, though. You know what I mean?
I think Joe Mazzulla tactically has had a huge influence on the Celtics. The way he wants to play tactically is how they play every night. It's what led them to a championship. Joe Mazzulla philosophically, I don't know. He's kind of out there. I think some players may listen to it, some players may not. Tactically, the Celtics played their tactical game in Game 3, and it worked. And by the way, his strategy, which was questioned about fouling the heck out of Mitchell Robinson, that's a good tactic too. That is working for them. The tactics of sticking with their philosophy, helped them bounce back in Game 3. So I'm listening more to Joe Mazzulla's tactics. I've been to dozens and dozens of his press conferences over the last couple of years and listened to him say these things. I'm sure his players have heard about it. I think they've been more moved, and they've proven the tactics matter more than this sort of philosophical stuff.
I believe tonight's Game 4 winner wins the series. Period. What happened in Game 3 is exactly what I feared. Al Horford, old man Horford, 0 of 8 from wide open threes in Games 1 and 2. Hits 3 or 4 threes. Peyton Pritchard, my choice and the choice for Sixth Man of the Year, comes off the bench, hits 5 threes, finishes with 23 points. Jason Tatum, he shot 40% from the field. He only scored 22 points. He hit 5 of his 9 threes. And this is the kind of stuff that I kept bringing up going into Game 3, which Wendy will attest to. Everybody was talking about all of this other stuff, and I'm saying, they shot 100 threes in the first 2 games. Missed an NBA record 75 threes in those first 2 games. 48 of those threes were considered wide open threes. For folks out there who don't know, a wide open three in the NBA is 6 feet and beyond. Nobody's within 6 feet of you, okay? That's considered a wide open three-pointer. And the Boston Celtics in Games 1 and 2 had 48 of them. This is a 41% shooting team from three-point range during the regular season. That wasn't going to last. So it's exactly what I feared. And sure enough, they started draining their bad boys. That was a blowout Saturday. That wasn't a close game. That was a blowout. And so now, how I'm looking at it, Karl Anthony Towns, I don't know what the hell is on with his hands, so he kept breaking game. Make sure the world, he was grabbing it about 10 times during the game, okay? Yes, we know your hand is hurt, damn it, all right? We got it, okay? We understand, all right? Okay, Jalen Brunson wasn't great. Okay, he's got to step up. Mikal Bridges, Mr. 5 first-round picks. That's what we know you as now. That's what we know you as now. Made key defensive stops in both games 1 and 2. We're very pleased with that. Went scoreless for the first 3 quarters for game 2, and then came on strong with 14 points. We got that. All right? But once again, struggling offensively. Mr. 5 first-round picks. That's what we're going to know you as, because when we see Giannis out there potentially available, and we think about the assets that the New York Knicks have, and what they gave up to pair Jalen Brunson with his boy. And by the way, Jalen Brunson deserved that because you sacrificed about $100 million because you could have waited a year before re-upping with the New York Knicks, and you didn't do it, so it saved them about $100 million. We got it. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. To get beat the way that they did Saturday and win game 4 after that beat down Saturday night, that tells me they could win this series. But if they lose tonight, and this series is tied 2-2, and Boston reclaims home court advantage, especially if they do it in the fashion that they did it Saturday night, the Boston Celtics are winning this series. That's how I view it.
I think it was over game 3. I think the winner of game 3 told us who was going to win this series. The only reason I say that is now you're looking at a team who historically in franchise history is better on the road than they are at home. And those shots start going down with the things I just said about Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum before. I think it's going to take a monumental effort by Jalen Brunson. And the only thing I worry about, Stephen A., him being 6'2", 200-plus pounds, barely, he's so used to being overly physical with other people because his shooting numbers haven't been there. He's been playing well in the fourth quarter. But the amount of physicality between Drew Holiday and Derek White, I don't see how that's not taxing.
It can be. It has to be taxing.
20 points in every single game to bring that back. I'm not saying it's not possible.
Right.
I just think it's hard.
All I'm asking before we go to Wendy, all I'm asking is this. If the New York Knicks win the night, do you still feel that way?
I may feel differently.
That's all I'm saying.
I may feel
That's why I said the winner of the night
win tonight
says it all.
Wendy?
It's crazy to think that a series where a team is leading 2-1 and has home court advantage is over for the team that's down. But that is a respect for the Celtics. But I will say what the Knicks need to do is apply pressure to Boston. Boston has shown that when they're ahead, they can be gotten to, pressure can get to them. That's what the Knicks have to do. And there's so much focus been on the Boston offense in this series, and I get it. The way they play invites reaction. But it's really been the Knicks offense that has been failing. They've only averaged 95 points in regulation. The one game, they got an extra 5 minutes and scored some more points. Brunson's shooting 38%. OG Anunoby is 3 of 15 the last 2 games. Karl Towns was 5 of 19 on Saturday. He had 21 of 15, but 5 of 19. The Knicks need to figure out how to get some points. And I absolutely think Jalen Brunson could have a transformational game tonight. But I'm afraid to say I think it's going to take Jalen Brunson to have a transformational game tonight.
Mm-hmm. It's not crazy when you consider the fact that Boston has been up over 23 straight games. It's not crazy to believe that if they win tonight that the series is over. I mean, even though it would be tied 2-2.
Hey,
I'm just saying it's not over now.
Right.
Some people think it's over now.
Right.
2 points, 2 rebounds in 31 minutes?
Not good.
That can't happen.
Not good.
That can't happen in a game like tonight.
Not when you
no way.
Not when you the $212 million man.
No.
Stephen, are you going to the game?
Yes, I'll be covering the game for NBA Countdown. I'll be there live.
Number 1 pick on most mock drafts. All right, Jay, well, I'll start with you. Do you think lottery teams should want to draft Cooper Flagg or make moves to get Giannis? Who should be more coveted right now?
I mean, well, if I'm the Pelicans, Hornets, Utah, or Washington, I'm going to take Cooper Flagg just for the fact that I don't think Giannis actually wants to be on those teams. The man's talked about how he wants to win a championship over the next 3 to 5 years. You ain't putting together a roster to win a championship like that with those units, right? But if I'm Houston, if I'm San Antonio, oh, hell yeah, y'all can take it. Like, because my window's right here now with the pieces that Houston has, or actually with San Antonio with the Aaron Fox and Wemby, depending upon Wemby's health. So it depends upon which team I am in the lottery and what pieces I actually have.
Go ahead, Wendy.
I would be stunned if anybody who wins the draft lottery tonight doesn't take Cooper Flagg. No matter what. Even if San Antonio or Houston win the lottery, which, by the way, San Antonio has 2 picks in the lottery tonight. Now, one of them is the Hawks pick, which is less than 1% chance of winning, but they still have 2 picks. because both San Antonio and Houston are very young rosters. And, if you can get a potentially transformational 19-year-old versus a transformational 30-year-old, you're going with the 19-year-old. That's just, I think enough is thought of Cooper Flagg and his age. I think you do. Plus, the other thing is this. In the current NBA, having a star, almost the most important thing you can have, okay, the best thing you can have is a generational star on your roster. But after that is a potential generational star on the rookie contract. That is super duper valuable. The cost of a player like Cooper Flagg for the next 4 years versus the cost of a player like Giannis is literally quintuple the amount. So in this era, I think you're going to see that. What I think would be more interesting is, let's say Houston or San Antonio, and those are the teams I'm really focused on because those are teams that if they got Giannis next year, we'd be talking about as title contenders. If either of those teams jump into the top 4, I don't think this question is about Giannis or Flagg. I think this is a question of, would you want VJ Edgecombe or would you want Dylan Harper added to your young core versus trading them for Giannis?
Well,
that is more of the question I think we might see.
Well, let me help you out, Wendy. The question was Flagg or Giannis, okay? Because it's first take. That's number one. Number two, Wendy, you have said this is the Cooper Flagg draft.
Yes.
Those are your words. So my point is, there's nothing wrong with asking the question about Flagg or Giannis. Hell with everybody else right now.
Flagg.
I mean, you basically have said
Flagg.
the hell with everybody else because you said Flagg.
Flagg.
Right? So I got it. I understand that. Let me throw this out. I side with Jay on this from the standpoint that it depends on the franchise, okay? It depends on the franchise, but let's dig a little deeper and allow me to take this opportunity to use OKC as a perfect example. If you're saying Presti, of course it's Flagg, because evidently the priority ain't to win championships. The priority is to build an elite roster, rife with incredible talent, okay? A coach that nobody was thinking about but ends up being a pretty damn good coach. And, playing with house money because you got an owner in Clay Bennett that, one could argue, don't give a damn. Just be competitive. Be in the mix. Challenge. Make money. You understand what I'm saying? But listen, you can look at me like that, Jay, but I could say to you.
To come up a win last night.
That's right. Listen, and I predicted they was going to win that game because they better have won that damn game because they lose that game, they lose the series to Denver. They ain't coming back from 3-1, okay? And I'd have been all over them. And I knew SGA would show up, all right? But here's the deal. When you are an executive, and Sam Presti is great, I'm not trying to throw shade over that. What I'm saying is I don't like the fact that somebody is in a position for 17 straight years without a title and don't have any concerns, hear no noise about the need to close. I always go back to Glenn Ross, the movie. Always be closing. Alec Baldwin, look
ABC.
it up. Always be closing, okay? And that's never closing. And we never say anything about it. That's not right. That's not right. Now, that doesn't mean he's not great. It doesn't mean that every organization in the NBA should want him to be your executive. It doesn't mean he's not a leader or anything. It just means like, damn, can we mention it? So with him, he's the kind of guy because you are devoid of that pressure. Now, one of my all-time favorites, to put things in perspective, Wendy, Jay, to put things in perspective, even to a lesser degree you, Molly, you need to remember this. Who's my favorite owner of all time? George Steinbrenner, New York Yankees. I'm losing his damn mind. Oh, losing his because I didn't like it. Was it an overreaction? Sometimes you're damn right. But it was clear. We here to win. We ain't here to be in the mix. We ain't here to be competitive. Let's get to the second round and let's push it to a game 7. Or let's go to the conference. Damn it, we tried. No, you got to close at some point. What are you saying, Wendy? Am I wrong about that?
Wow, you mean in an uncapped environment when you got the most money, you can be aggressive. Congratulations, great.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Wendy, you're right about that. I'm not challenging you on your points about the finances of the NBA and how that dictates everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about an attitude. I'm talking about an attitude when an ownership is looking at you and saying, if I'm the owner of OKC, at some point I'm saying, I appreciate the job that you've done. You ain't got nothing to worry about. I really do. I love you. Here's your extension. But you gonna give me a ring? At least once? Are you gonna give me a ring? We never ask that question is what I'm saying. And if you're in ownership like that, of course you'll take Cooper Flagg. Of course you'll pass up on a Giannis because it's not a priority. It's to be in the mix and compete as opposed to winning. That's all I'm saying.
I respect what you're saying because what you're saying is if you don't win, it doesn't matter. And I agree with you. I respect that. In 2025, and I know that this is nuance and nobody wants to hear it. In 2025, you have to be careful in the NBA by going and getting like a big salary player that is not a big salary dominant guy. What a team like Oklahoma City is worried about is turning into the Milwaukee Bucks are gone and their franchise player is still in his zone because in the apron era, that's a serious concern. It is now happening to the Denver Nuggets.
Can I ask you a question, Wendy?
Well, you're going to come back and say that Denver and Milwaukee won titles.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. That's not where I was going. You said in the year 2025. Was it that way in 2017?
No.
Was it that way in 2010?
No.
Sam Presti has been there since 2007. 2007. Jay.
What you want.
He was 29 years old. He was 29 years old.
What you want is Oklahoma City to consider taking 5 draft picks and 2 or 3 of their best young players and getting Giannis and compressing their window down to like maybe 3 years as opposed to what they're trying to do, which is 7 to 10.
Did I say that? I didn't say that.
No, Wendy, I
think
think he just wants there to be the result of having a championship for having 17 years under
That's
the belt
it, Wendy.
of being a GM, which is
that's all I'm saying.
Argument.
I'm not
That's
saying I would not, Wendy, just so I'm clear, I would not give up my core young players and 4 or 5 draft picks even for Giannis. If I'm Oklahoma, I would not do that. What I am saying is that it wouldn't even be a thought at a place like OKC because this man who has been at the helm for 17 years doesn't have one championship to show for it. Do I need to go through the laundry list of great
But they have
all-time
traded
greats he's had?
They have made star player acquisitions. They have traded for Paul George. They have traded for Carmelo Anthony. It didn't work. And that's why they pivoted the other way. Now, you can say that they should have done something else, and that's fair. But they tried star chasing. They've had a bunch of MVPs on their roster. The star chasing didn't work. They're trying to build something long.
You're assuming I'm just talking about players. Listen, I respect Scott Brooks. I respect Billy Donovan. I respect Dagnall, who I think is a hell of a coach. The reality of the situation is there have been times in Oklahoma City's tenure under Sam Presti where people have questioned whether or not those individuals were the right coaches at particular times to help deliver a championship. So in other words, it's not just about the personnel you accumulate. And oh, by the way, even if they were to give up 3 or 4 picks, how many damn picks do they have over the next several years? I think it's like, is it 11? Is it 15? I gotta look that up. I mean, damn. What you doing? Taking it to the grave with you? Where's it going? Where's it going? I mean, you got to use them at some point. It's really nice to accumulate and have all of these assets.
Well, I would say ask the Bucks. I would say ask the Bucks if they wish they had some more picks.
I'm sure they would. Everybody, all of us would wish we had what Sam Presti has built, which is why I said it's exceptional. But at the end, you've got to close. And oh, by the way, if giving up some of those assets, you still have a bevy of assets available to you in your pocket. Even if you gave up a few, you've got to think about trying to close the deal. That's all I'm saying. That's all. And by the way, when they acquired Paul George, when they acquired Carmelo Anthony, when they acquired Victor Oladipo, nobody was looking at OKC as a title contender when that happened. You looked at them as a playoff team, but you knew they weren't on the level of the elites in the Western Conference. Those particular picks, when they were considered title contenders, was now and before when they had KD, Russ, etc. Let's be clear about that.
Jay, what?
I think it's okay for there to be pressure on Sam Presti. That's fine. He's allowed. I mean,
to close. Only
to close.
That's
ABC.
it.
I'm with that.
Nothing else.
I do want to say one thing for Cooper Flagg because I think it's important. Granted, second youngest player in college basketball.
Yes.
Skill development-wise, for him, where he gets drafted, though, I think is important with the team they surround him with. I think he's like an Andre Korolenko, but when we start making mentions of names like Giannis and LeBron and Steph, I'm not sure he's in that category, or he will be in that category, as much as he could be a stat filler.
No one's watched him more closely.
I'm so glad Jay brought that up, Molly, because I love Cooper Flagg. I think the kid's a stud.
But some of you talk about him, I'm not sure about that yet.
But closing. There were 4 occasions this past season he had opportunities to close.
Yeah.
Didn't come up in all 4, including the NCAA tournament, including the Final Four. We got to remember that.
around and try to boast at what I look like. Keep them down, try to wear, I pull up all brains. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's 88 over here,